The 5 constellations acquired by El Al in the early 50s were nicknamed the Turkish baths. Stewards often had to walk the aisles with fans in hand. But the constellations were a breakthrough into long-range flights. 27 hours flying time from Tel Aviv to New York. But mechanics and pilots were still all foreigners. It wasn't all that simple, because the foreign pilots saw in El Al a steady job with good pay and good conditions. I remember one evening we had on the town with the late Captain Hinks, who was then El Al's flight superintendent. We asked him why an Israeli couldn't be an airline pilot. He said it could be done. I'll try and do it within 2 or 3 weeks. 3 or 4 weeks later, Captain Tuhar got his ticket. With the licensing of the first Israeli airline pilot, the training center was inaugurated. Aviva Glaser became the world's only woman link trainer instructor. Jews were always good at Luftgeschäften, up in the air business, as Danny Kaye once said. But a business up in the air needs good hands on the ground. El Al formed its own maintenance unit. In 1954, Yafa Yarkoni sings From Then Till Now. Floods in Tel Aviv. The central bus station is scheduled for replacement. From then till now, it's still there. There were few private cars, but nevertheless the car wash business gets its start. And Israel's swing beauty is Aviva Pe'er. And El Al is promoting beauties of its own. I started work with El Al in 1955. That's 6 years after the airline was founded. As far as the passengers were concerned, we saw ourselves as both ambassadors and publicists. We started off in the constellations, long-distance flights. It was hard work physically, but those long flights gave us the chance of making contact with our passengers. Something which I don't think can be done today. Maybe one of the closest ties I forged with an important passenger was with Paula Ben-Gurion, when she flew with us and David Ben-Gurion was Prime Minister. We went over every details of what was permissible, what was forbidden, and of course we kept very strictly to the rules. But when she wasn't on board, we would bend them a bit. I could see that he preferred a different menu, preferred doing different things, but I did my best to follow her instructions because I simply adored that woman. I could see that she was very protective of his health. Now and then, the captain would come out to chat with the passengers. In a constellation, there were only 54 at most. On one flight, the steward told me they had a drunk on board and couldn't control him, so they wanted my help. So I put on my uniform and left the cockpit. I saw this guy running wild, and I told him he'd be better off in his seat. He looked at me and he said, "Who the hell are you?" I answered, "I'm the captain." And then he said, "If you're the captain, you'd be better off in your seat." 1956, Bing Crosby serenades Grace Kelly in high society, and nobody knows that she's destined to be a princess. Eisenhower is re-elected as president. Hundreds of thousands of Hungarians flee from the invading Red Army, and that same week, the Sinai campaign. Up until the end of the Sinai fighting, El Al's route to Africa was cut off. The straits were closed, and we couldn't fly over North Africa once Algeria gained its independence. We had to find an Israel-Africa route. So we got out the maps and found something unusual. Tel Aviv to Tehran, from Tehran across the Indian Ocean to Nairobi. There was no other airline using such a route. Finance Minister Levi Eshkol visits the maintenance workshops of El Al to mark Flight 5000 of Israel's national airline. Jet passenger craft are already in production, but the state-of-the-art is represented by the Britannia turboprop, halfway house between piston and jet power. To buy or not to buy, meant for El Al at this stage the same as to be or not to be. I was asked by the Minister of Transport, Yosef Sapir, and by the Minister of Finance, if we couldn't drop the Britannia idea. Jets were already on their way. They weren't yet flying, but they were on the way, were already being built. But I maintained that we had to buy the Britannias and expand our fleet, instead of 3-4 planes, and I persuaded the government that we had to buy that 4th plane because I was afraid that if we waited for jets, the airline would cease to exist. There were those who doubted the ability of Israeli technicians to fathom the secrets of the Britannia's engines. Deputy Director General Yoel Palge exploded, "Does it make sense that the Israeli Air Force knows how to deal with jets and El Al doesn't? El Al does." The giant Britannia arrives from London, flight time less than 7 hours. And they came. The Britannia was known as the Whispering Giant. It could accommodate 93 passengers and a crew of 8. With the arrival of the Britannia, El Al was on the map of international air travel. El Al was the first commercial airline to hop the Atlantic without a stopover, and this was a great selling point. Up to now, there had always been stopovers at Shannon in Ireland and at Goose Bay and Gander in Canada.
El Al מאוד הצליחה
El Al got very good publicity in the United States. The slogan was that the Atlantic had been narrowed by 20%. There was another very successful ad showing an exhausted hostess saying, "I've been walking all the way from New York to Tel Aviv." Aiming to show just how hard the passenger crew works to provide perfect service. In 1961, Leonard Bernstein's hit West Side Story. America's White Hope John Kennedy is elected president.
So help me God.
The Soviet Union's Yuri Gagarin is the first man in space. It is a time of hope and of prosperity. Bombatsur promotes PEP. We've just begun to flesh out a bit, and all of a sudden it's dieting and health foods.
I have my own washing machine.
What will you have, though, to keep clean?
And El Al is flying 22 routes to 18 different countries.
Industry boom in America.
A few months after we got the Britannias, we started checking out the jets, which were still being designed. We were comparing the Boeing 707, the Douglas DC, and the Convair 880. In the end, El Al decided on the Boeing 707, which has proved itself to be the best. One of the things that convinced the company to go for the Boeing was British engines. The reason was their range. A national airline under siege needs long-range equipment. And those Rolls-Royce engines made it possible for us to fly to South Africa. Let us reach Iran without crossing Syria, and from there to Nairobi, and so on, when we couldn't fly